Hello, hello. Good time of day, everyone. So, this is going to be probably a short stream. We'll see how it goes. But without further ado, Bop. Hello. So, pardon the furnace. It is keeping me alive. Today we are going to be working with... Let me actually bring up the magazine. I only have a PDF of it, so I don't have any physical thing to go off of. But the Fantasy World Crafter from Mythic Magazine, which is... how should I put it? The Mythic Game Emulator is the go-to sort of solo slap on top of everything else. Mythic Magazine was something the guy made when he was going to start working on Mythic 2. So, one second, I'm just going to throw this down here. Mythic. And through making the Mythic Magazine, he made a bunch of systems, a bunch of tables. Some of them made it into Mythic Game Master Emulator, or GME, second edition. Some of them didn't, but he still keeps going on in a monthly issue. Some of these things might end up in later products, but either way, something to go over once a month, which is something to look forward to. So the basis of this, well, let me get... how am I going to do this without going completely nuts? Okay, let's put you on the side of the screen like that, and not care about it. So, So the basis of this is that we have 6 main things to set up. The fantasy subgenre. Move you slightly over. Central mythology. Sure. Well, this is an infinite thing. Can't have size. Let's bump you up to this way. Make you 640. Sure. Extend the white background. Go back to black. Okay. Central society. Magic. Monsters, and threats and tension. So, these all come into play a little bit later, but the main game for the Mythic Emulator system is that you have tables to roll on, you have some procedures to go through. This is effectively going off somewhat of the detail system where you have a table, you roll to flesh something out. You roll twice on it. Speaking of which, let me get some physical dice out so I can have a pile of them. Can I get... one second. Let me do something terrible and completely destroy my setup. Nice, weighty metal dice. Tell me, can you guys hear this? I get a nice thud. Actually, I can just check in mic. Yep, you can hear it. Actually, I'll need some D6s. Why? I have physical dice. Alright, I'll need like 4 of these. I mean, it's easy enough to get them to... yeah, I mean, like, what else am I doing with this? Alright. So, for the most part, every table is a D100 table. It has a bunch of little oracle descriptions to go off of. And we'll need the D6s for a later step. So first, let's go up to the fantasy subgenre. See what it has to say on there. It asks some questions because, as I said before, most everything in the Game Master emulation system is oracles, i.e. you roll table while thinking about something, and then you sort of jam that, what do you get back into there and work with other things. But given how humans work, this works very well. So the first thing we do, we figure out the fantasy subgenre, which is to say, what flavor of world. Now, this is a D100 table, but it isn't actually a D100 table. It has like about 10 different things: high fantasy, dark fantasy, sword and sorcery, historical fantasy, which I will re-roll on because I don't know what to do with that. Modern, which is funny to me. Grimdark, low fantasy, steampunk, fairy tale, and then action tables, which mean I have to go into my back room and pull out my book. Or I could look for the PDF, but anyways, let's just roll. Got ourselves a 22, which puts us into sword and sorcery, which is not one I work with a lot, but it's basically high fantasy, but pulp. So now that we got that, we need to add some descriptions, or in this case, adventurer tones. So I need to roll 2 D100s, which I do have, but I'm not rolling them here. And we get ourselves 27 and 80. 27 is evil. 80 is random. So, what kind of fantasy world is this? Context here, we're starting the world generation in the most general of terms, establish a broad brush before feeling to place. This doesn't tell us anything specific about the world itself, but instead establish the flavor of narrative atmosphere. Well, we have evil and we have random, so clearly dark things are popping up randomly, with no pattern. Something like that. Yeah, this is seemingly chaotic. Chaos is a very good word. Okay, on to central mythology. Let me find the right thing. There we go. So this is actually something I kind of find interesting. I've done a few, like, you roll the world, but they don't really kind of play on, like, except for maybe, oh, what's the one book? The book with D1000 tables will actually try and, like, play up, like, hey, how did gods create this world? What kind of gods are they? Which I should actually probably do at some point. But anyways. The questions to answer. What story defines this world? Central mythology could serve as an origin story for a fantasy world, explaining how things came to be, and the way it is now. Maybe the myth is true, maybe it's not. What matters is that most people there know the story and think it's important. So once again, we have another D100 table that is actually more of a D 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 10-ish. Has creation, right to rule, war, doom, return to greatness, way of life, a new era, hope, and I'm going to pull that out sooner or later, that book. So anyways, we get an 85, which means I pull out the book. I will be right back. Okay, in the back room. I can remember where the heck I put it. I will pull out the PDF if I cannot find it in the next 5 minutes. I think this is it, because it's big and blue. Yep. Hardcover. Given the choice between hardcover and softcover, I will always choose hardcover for the cores of the book. Splats, not so much. Anyway, let me go to the back because this person is actually sane and will move every single table to the back of the book or the back of the issue of the zine when available. Okay, so we're looking for a description table, not the meanings table. Right. Actually, no. What? Yeah, okay, there we go. So we have two tables here for description. The first is 13, which is cautiously. And the second is 8, which is bright. You know, there's jokes about Noble Bright, but that's almost fitting here. The world was supposed to be a good one. Okay, what do we do to expand upon that? And I will throw this on the floor for later because I have run out of table space because I haven't moved my easel. So I guess, like, you know, dark things popping up is actually not something to be expected. Anyway, back to the file. Where are you? There you are. Too many things open. Okay, now to the elements table for this. And we got 193, which gives us villain. Ooh. Are we just recreating creation? Villain and 93, which is stop. Okay. Okay, something very standard fantasy. Yeah, it could mean interesting stuff. So we're setting up for, like, there was an evil villain in the past, but it was stopped. And the world was brighter for it. Like, all of them vanished. We're literally in JRPG land. Okay, so we can go with that. Now back to Central Society. What culture will this focus on first? This may or may not be the most powerful or influential society in the fantasy world, but it's the one we're going to start at. Effectively, this is where the player character's starting location is going to be, and so forth. This one's actually more of a D20 table. Dice ASMR. 26. Nation. The Central Society focuses on the summary of an entire nation. There are cities, towns, villages within the nation, but we're going to summarize the overall nation itself, and this may mean that the player character is already familiar with the nation and many aspects within it. And we have a bunch of things. I could roll... Okay, I'll roll in the civilization descriptor table twice. I don't know if I want to put together the name by name sounds. Okay, so we have 83. No, wait, that's 63. I should turn on another light in here, see if I get anything. It kind of helps. 83 and 97. So that gives us Ruthless. Oh, interesting. And 97 is Wealthy. Okay. A ruthlessly wealthy nation. Also, I'm just going to put a note of JRPG. So, a nation that came into power through merchant might, and we'll just leave it there. I'm just thinking, like, literally, they sat on important resource. We'll figure out what that was in a minute, because it might line up with magic. It might line up with, like, some of the nation thing. Like, hey, we used this, in the creation myth, we used this metal to defeat the enemy, and guess what? We're sitting on a mountain of it, and, hey, everybody should have this. Or, who knows, or, like, we control that, or the spice must flow. Or maybe it's just they sat on all the gold and rubies, and they can hire all the armies to protect them, or expand into other places that have rubies and gold. So, anyways, on to magic, which is going to be an interesting part. This is a very varied table. What place does magic hold in this world? Magic exists in fantasy world, but what role does it play in society? The component isn't just how powerful the magic is, but how it is viewed by the people in the setting, which I do like as an idea. So, roll on this small table. 91, I need to go to the book, so I will go to... Oh, actually. Roll one or more keywords from the adventure tone. For a total of 3 keywords to make your interpretation. Okay. So we're just... I'll need one more set of D10 or D100s. Percentiles. Where are you? My bag of dice that can't roll on anything but a felt mat, or else they put holes or little chips in the table. Wait, that's not a... That's a D12. There we are. There's the 10s. Okay, so this one's going to be very much think on it. But because we're rolling on that, common and everyday, rare and mysterious, powerful and controlled, powerful and elite, rare and disbelieved. Magic is revered, magic is feared, bestowed, and religious. And we rolled on the meanings table, so we don't play with any of those and their explanations. So 84, rough. Rough, 84. Oh no, I already wrote 84. 68, sorry. There we go. Mistrust. And 63, okay. Meaningful. Rough, mistrust, and meaningful. So what the heck does that mean for magic? Mistrust is easy to figure out. Meaningful, I mean, I guess that... So rough magic means it's not easy to use. So magic comes with drawbacks. Which I guess would go into meaningful because people only use it when they desperately need to, or when it's the only way to do something. And they distrust it because there's drawbacks, and they don't always know what the drawbacks are. I'm just going to say Fae, like magic, always has drawbacks. I mean, technically, Sword and Sorcery, they usually do have that sort of magic is distrusted, but this is sort of different. But so, yeah, like any practiced magic user is distrusted as they they haven't stopped because Rob. a big magic stopped evil force and did something. There's always a price to pay. Okay, let's make this a bit bigger. I do like the idea of it. Whoop. And we go up like that. We're gonna need even more in a minute. Okay, let's get back to here. Let's move this around. I like the idea of anyone who continuously uses magic is just distrusted because it has to bite you sooner or later, so how are you getting around it? Like, are you sacrificing children? And maybe like the big first magic use in the world, curse the user. Or something else of that nature. Either way, like the idea that it can be very powerful, it has some bad drawbacks, and people would rather not use it because of that reason. So anybody who uses it is distrust. Very sword and sorcery. And like Conan is all about, you know, sorcerers sacrificing children and all that to maintain their power. But anyways. And the heat turns on. Okay. Down to monsters. What roles do monsters play in this world? How common and powerful are monsters in this world? And what is their place in society? Well, monsters are almost feared and make for good antagonists. This doesn't always have to be the case. So going to roll once on the monster focus. And then twice. Sorry. And then I guess it's twice. Actually, it just says you only need to roll on the adventure tone. I roll twice by default because that's what everything does in this system. Anyway, 82. Meaning table. Once again to the book. Let's get these dice in the right spot. Get over here. Roll a keyword from the adventure. Oh, actually, it's within here. It's not even within. Okay, my bad. Adventure tone. So let's go back up to here. And we get 51 and 58, which is... Actually, we need one more for my trifecta. So the focus of monsters is 51. Intelligent. Interesting. 58 is light. That's going to be a circled square. 94 is travel. So we got intelligent monsters, which means they can play a big role in this world. We have travel on there, which means that they are encountered during travel. They help with travel. I'm going to say that they're often encountered in travel. Light. Possibly. Angelic messengers also work for that. It also means that they're kind of ethereal. They're like shades. Oh, okay, that's a good thought. Shades made of light, remnants of the old Dark Lord. Ah, okay. Dispelled, usually, through magic or the hero made effective. The hero made effective through magic back in past. And that's what the main kingdom is sitting on, because travel, even though the world is pretty much safe, you need to still have this metal to get around. Or otherwise you're assailed by these like these glowing shades left over from the Demon Lord. Or whatever you want to have it as. The Dark Lord. Okay, that can work, but I just wanted to go. Ooh. Okay. So the hero back in the past saw that they were losing the war, and he went about using magic, probably walking up to the demon or to the Dark Lord himself and saying, "This and all metal will be your bane for all of eternity and against all your minions." And slew him with that, and then something happened to him. He just disappeared from history after that. So now if you have this little medallion of the metal, the things might actually mock you maybe, but can't do crap. And if you really want to, you get a sword made out of it and you smack them and they go away forever. Okay, threats and tension. Let's move this down a little bit. Okay, back to threat here. What threat has got everyone on edge? Threats and tensions provide a top-level problem, menacing a majority of this fantasy setting, while the other components give you a picture of daily life and what one can expect of this world. Threats and tensions is sort of the top headline for what's going on in the world right now. So first off, roll on the main table to see the focus. And the focus is 66. I need better lighting. And here's just the list. War, Menace, the Dark Lord. Which we did not roll. The Hunt is on. The Prophecy of Change, Power Vacuum, and once again on the meeting tables. So we rolled The Hunt is on. Something powerful and important must be found to save the land. For instance, a divine cup that will heal blighted fields, or a magical artifact that is precious to the dominant religion has been stolen. So, going to throw it here. The Hunt is on. Now we get to go and we roll twice on the plot twist table, which is down here. And we got 98 and 91. So 98 is unusual. And 91 is strange. Thank you for synonyms. Unusual and strange. The hunt... Okay, so... We are... Well, we've been saying everything is good. Dark things are popping up with no pattern. It's chaos. So there are still dark things in the world that aren't necessarily these, like, monsters going about. We don't even know if they're related. It's just like, literally, trolls are popping up out of the ground. Somebody has to get rid of them. But otherwise, like, there's an army of literally these shades that are just kind of stuck in, like, our Lord has fallen, and we are literally warded off by a metal that somebody sells like trinkets. Life kind of sucks. Or unlife, or whatever they are. So, the hunt is on for something strange and unusual that would be against the threat. Now, okay. Let's link these up. So, I almost want to say, like, some portal has been opened or something else is awakening. So, are we looking for the thing that's awakening that's causing, like, problem 1 up here? Like, the world is kind of falling into chaos and we don't know why. Is that what we're looking for? Do we have more of an idea on that? Could say it's left over from this, but I don't think that works with it. And the main society is this one. Oh, wait. Okay. So our main society is one that literally sells the magic metal that keeps the old Dark Lord's monsters away. And now, new things are popping up that are completely unrelated, and their trinkets no longer work for that. So people aren't traveling as much, or can't afford to, unless they have, like, guards with them to, like, kill a troll. Or the other, like, more physical. Yeah, okay. The dark things popping up are not the light shades. Oops. What the heck are you? No. Okay, there we go. They are physical beasts, and no one knows where or why. The nation is searching for what is causing this. To prevent it, or to allow safe travel again, and to prevent it from getting worse. Okay. I think that works out. Let's just double the size to the right, because I'm going to need a lot more space. Nope, that's not it. There we go. A sprite allows me to hit ×2, and look, we have twice as much room. I am doing this because we need to use tables. So now that we got, like, our 6 pillars of the world, we have our sword and sorcery. There's lots of action going on. We have our central mythology that is some guy defeated the Dark Lord by making a magic pact with something or doing magic that seemingly he just disappeared. No one found him dead. He didn't retire anywhere. Nobody knows what happened to him. He just kind of fell out of history from using that magic. Like, maybe his assistants or his, fellow travelers told the world this. Maybe they're lying. Who knows? Magic always has drawbacks. It's pretty much fey magic. It's there to screw you over. But it could do things that are otherwise impossible. There are monsters in this world that are intelligent, that are left over from the original evil, that are basically relegated to being annoying things during travel. And they're warded off and defeated by this type of metal that the main kingdom sells. Yeah. Threat's intention is that something else besides the remnants of the army, or the Shade Army, is there. I say shades, but they're light shades. I mean, I take it as like, they're literally things of light that are humanish shape, which is basically the reverse of a shade. What can you say? Anyways, so if I move this to the middle of the screen, I could probably line it up better. Anyways, so the nation wants to send somebody out, or people out, to go, what the heck are these, like, troll things coming about? These other, like, you know, more generic monsters that are not our standard monsters, for the most part. What are these things? How can we stop it? Can we sell something to ward them away? Because, you know, we got to cover all this. People are coming to us and saying, like, hey, you help with all the travel around this world. Don't you have a solution to this? So we have those 6 pillars of our world. Wait, wrong browser. Now we get to make a world meaning table. World meaning table is every single thing we rolled from the various tables. That doesn't help. We're on the wrong layer anyways. Okay, so first, evil, random, villain, stop, rough. I think I'm just going to do this 5x4 or 4x5. Rough, mistrust, meaningful, intelligent, light, travel. I'll get to why I'm making all this in a second. Unusual, strange, and I have to fill the rest out with plot twists. So 1 second. Gotta roll half a dozen. So this is effectively, I kind of call it a painter's brown of a meaning table. Usually these things are like 100 long, but hey, do we really want to just basically have the plot table and then like 7 other things? Okay, plot twists. 59. Object. For barrier. That'll be interesting. Excuse me. 86. Reversal. And I just need 5 more. $70 is problem. $8 is character. $5 is betray. And just 2 more. If I could pick up the right dice. $9 is conclude. And 68 is plan. So, as I was saying, this is kind of the painter's brown. I don't know how apocryphal this is, but painter's brown. Back in the day, because you don't waste paint, painter's brown came from, like, you're done with something, but you got, like, very minute portions of everything else left. So you just put it all to the same thing, mix it back up, and now you have a painter's brown that will be consistent for whatever the next thing you're working on. I mean, like, you keep adding it to your painter's brown. So you can mix that in to sort of, like, even out the entire painting. And it evens out because it's all mixed with the same color. And also you can use the painter's brown as just painter's brown. But, yes. So this is going to be used, and this is why I needed D6s, because I did a run of this. Okay. I don't know if I re-roll doubles, but I'll see in a second. So now that we have the world meaning table, which we can use to roll meaning for things, we're going to use it to make some adventure seeds. So jumping back into here, as I cover up my screen again, we're going to make 4 adventure seeds. Just telling you about it. Okay. Finally, create adventure seeds to spur ideas and goals for your player character to achieve in this world. Generate up to 4 of them and put them in the adventure seed slots for the first adventure in this world. Choose one of the 4 to serve as a basis for your first scene. Create an adventure scene. Roll a d6 to determine the component of the fantasy world this adventure seed goes off of. Each one is number 1 through 6. For instance, Next, roll a keyword from the plot and twist and one from the world meaning table. So we're doubling up on plot and twist. So anyways, let's begin. So the first one is with our central mythology. And we will... I need a d20. That's rare. Mythic is very much a d100 system. There's actually a... Yeah, let's go with the white one. I need some more metal dice. I have some... I tried to get all the colors. I have a gold, silver, but I need a better bronze and maybe something else, but I have these gold-edged white ones, but which are very easy to read, and the rest are kind of iffy in some instances. Anyways. So we have villain. Ooh. I'm going to roll these up first, and then I'm going to think about them. Villain, and on the plot table, 59. I think the plot twist table is actually in the main book. Because he likes to reuse, or I think it's a guy though, likes to reuse tables, because why wouldn't you reuse all the tables you have? That's what they're there for. 59, object. Ooh. That's a spicy meatball. Okay, next one is 3, which is magic. And 8, which puts us at intelligent. Intelligent, what's on the other side of that? 36. Help. Interesting. And then I rolled 2 again, so central... Oh, sorry. Central society. Why did I say mythology? Let's clean this up a little bit. Another Central Society. And we roll the dice. Sorry. 45. 45 tells me. Injustice. Oh, wait, I'm rolling on this table. Okay. Okay, let's roll off the main one up here, and we get random injustice. And our last one is 4, which is magic. Oh no, that was Central Mythology. I am confusing myself. Three is society, 2 is mythology. And the last one is magic. But 12, so strange. Oh ho. Maybe we could find out what the heck the main threat is. Strange. That goes across the table. 88. Strange skill. Oh no, it's an Iseki. I can cast magic without having drawbacks. Because I was pulled from another world. Or more likely, I word the magic so it does it so the drawbacks are absolutely meaningless. Okay. So, villain object. I know, and that's the worst part about it. Is that, like, that is legitimately, like, what somebody would use. And they could actually run with it better than most of them. And honestly, I take that over like, hey, I know, like, Kung Fu, therefore I'm able to defeat entire armies. I've seen that one exist, and that's just dumb. Or I was reincarnated as, you know, a vending machine, but that one's a joke. I hope. I can never be certain anymore. So, a villain object in the Central Mythology. Okay, so the shades exist. They were magically created. So the villain had something involved with that. Okay. Or at least something of power. Oh yeah, slime was another. Staff of the villain that has magic power. May be shade related. May just allow casting without major drawbacks. That would be a very powerful thing that, you know, the evil guy would have. Like, once a week you can cast magic without having a drawback. Which might just be shade relay, like, hey, I want to make this army. Staff, do your thing. Okay. Yeah, actually, that just seems like... that, like, sets up how the villain came to be. Hey, I found this staff that, like, once a week or once a month allows me to cast any magic with no drawback. You're set up to be the path to become the villain. Just by virtue of doing that like once a month. Even if you weren't setting out to. Because somebody is going to want to take the staff from you, and you have to protect yourself. And now that you're protecting yourself, you're seen as a threat. Magic help. Well, intelligent. And intelligent is coming to us from, you know, our monsters. And maybe some shades wish to help with the other monster threat. Like, shades, I kind of say, is they're not tangible. I would think that at some level they are, because they have to interfere with people. And maybe that the monsters being out there, literally the monsters just try and kill them. And because they're magical creatures, because they're monsters as well, they're able to do so. So the shades are in a bind of, like, literally, we have no leader, and now monsters are killing us. Let's make a deal to try and help with you. Because we're out there. We can give you some information. I won't even say that it's like I'm giving it to the humans. I won't tell any of the other humans. Just strike a deal, and we can get back to a status quo, which kind of sucks, but is not as bad for us as it is right now. And then it will be less bad for you. So clearly, this is a deal. Now, random injustice. Whoops, I can't spell. Random injustice. It's to the central mythology. That could just be kind of the fate of the hero. Oh, okay. Something was discovered of the hero after he was supposed to disappear. A piece of his armor he wore. Okay, that works with me, because it's random, and, well, the injustice is the hero saved everything, he just kind of fell out of the world. And investigating that could go into something, as you said, like, this is classic, and it leaves a lot of stuff going into there. And that's a very good starting scene. Now, strange skill. Strange did come from threats on there. So, somebody who's very effective against the other monsters, or somebody that has a sense for them, which is more than anyone else, because these things just pop out of the ground randomly. Okay. Someone has a magical sense of the chaos. We'll just call them chaos monsters. And feels a strange presence out in the world. So maybe they want to use him as literally a compass to bring them to whatever might be causing all these problems. Or at least an idea of what into there. So yeah. That is basically the Mythic Magazine fantasy world generator. Then you're supposed to give it a name and all that. In a nutshell. I think it's very effective. I could see myself rolling a few things in this world to do a little solo roleplay, or using it as a basis for another one. Like you want to make a one-shot or something. Because basically, you can have a million tables, but with no structure, they're just a million tables. This gives you some structure that is very much, I call them pillars. Because, well, hey, the fantasy subgenre one is a little weak in my opinion, but it does give some idea of what the heck you want to do if you're starting from nothing. So, okay, fine. Central mythology, yeah, that's a good idea. Central society, you could take it or leave it, but it gives you a starting place to put in there. Magic, monsters, tension, and threat. I think it could run literally off of a central mythology, magic, monsters, tension, and threat, and just kind of wing the rest of it. But these give you something to stand on. Now, the adventure seeds, I kind of really like that. So, as I said, it links them together. You kind of get your painter's brown of world meanings, which are fed into here, which kind of like instinctively link back to what was rolled over here. So, as I said, like, strange skill. What the heck do I do with that? Well, strange came from tension and threats, and these chaos beasts are popping up because we know that kind of from, like, oh, evil random. So, like, there's dark things popping up. And, you know, the humans, I forget what the word is, to see patterns where there isn't any, really takes hold at that point. So, yes. Now, can I run anything in this in a quick amount of time? No. I think I'm going to do a second one. However, I'm going to, like, you know, draw some silliness on here because it's funny. Do-do-do. Actually, we got the whole hero thing from the magic. There's another word in seeing patterns. Faces is the specific one. But yeah, okay. How big is this? Yeah, we might as well do 920 by 1080. And once more to the breach. Because I just really wanted to see what the system could do, and it's actually doing a lot better than I thought it would, but random tables. If I put this more in the middle, will it work better? Oh no, I need to have that other book open anyways. Okay. I've given myself more space. So once again, we have subgenre. Let's give myself some more room. Then we have central mythology. Central society. Magic. Monsters. Threat and tension. Okay. Like, I could say more in the first one, but I'd rather just keep rolling and see what else pops up before I can make more of a comment on it. So 77, let's scroll back up to the top. And you know what, actually I'm going to look up the word. Word for seeing patterns in things. Okay, apophenia, which is the tendency to perceive meaningful connections between unrelated things. Which, I mean, like, is the face one is still like the go-to because we're really wired for that, but this is more on a general level. This is where, like, where conspiracy theories for some people come from. Or, like, I'm being gained stock because 3 people looked at me today. Okay, so first off, we got 77, which is Fairy Tale. Okay. Let's roll the other 2 dice. Two. And 36. 2 is activity. 36 is frantic. Frantic. Well, I think we'll need to see a bit more going on before we can actually get anything out of what the heck the subgenre of fairy tale is going to look like when it's active and frantic. Because if it's like a small village, that's easier to work with. It's an entire nation. I don't know what I'm going to do. Okay, let's give that a roll. 98. 98 is on the meaning table. I did that before. I'm going to actually roll again. 48. Okay. Return to greatness. This world was once more than it is now, and many believe it will return to greatness. Perhaps there's a legend about a return to a mythical king or desire to overthrow the despot. Okay, let's roll up what that return to greatness is linked to. 46 and 58. 46 is guide. And 58 is inform. A herald has come telling... A foretold herald has come back. I mean, that kind of works in with frantic, but I'm not sure how to fairy tale it. Let me just look back up at fairy tale. What does it say about that? A fantasy world is based on... Whoops. On an actual fairy tale, or its fantasy is fairy tale-like, relying on folklore and mythology. Okay. Okay, let's go back to society, because I think that really is going to work with the subgenre of what the heck is going on. 86. Species. Species, you say? Species and races abound the world, with many societies focused on species cultural. The central society is one of those. For instance, elves, dwarves, fairies. Okay, this is kind of working with, you know, fairy tale. I would have to say, like, human is the main one by default of what this is working with. But if the central society is like, everything is kind of species-based. This one's a tougher nut to crack. Much about. Anyway, let's roll on civilization description. Not bothering with names. 44. Failed. Failed 007. Failed angry. Failed angry. Failed angry. I almost want to say failed angry is more orcs. Okay, let's think a bit. So the main society doesn't have to be the player, but it can be, or the what the players work with, but it can be the major focal point. And we're going with like fairy tales. So mythological sort of things. So the world, the current state of the human world. Human world is based on the armies of the Goblin King failing as all the villages in the land banded together. Okay. So stick with me for a second. We're fairy tale like because this is like literally just villages in a sort of rundown kingdom that, you know, has the things in the dark woods. And the goblins had the Goblin King come and rally all the goblins together to start sacking every village and town they could. And the king had no standing army to send to them. So all the townsfolk came together to fight back against the goblin army and march them back to the Dark Woods. And through doing that, the entire, like all the villages prospered from that because they came together, they went to the kingdom, they did all that, and everything was great until, like, things faded because with no threat, they kind of just went about their own ways and slowly slipped back into a weak state. Scattered villages. Dark Woods. So why it's active and frantic is people are seeing goblins again. And the Herald elf saying the Goblin King is coming back? Okay, we'll sit on that for a second. Let's roll more into magic and see what comes about. Magic. $30. Powerful and controlled. Magic is powerful in this world, but it's strictly controlled in most places through legal and social means. Existing power structures try to keep it in their own hands. Somehow I'm thinking of Finnish Sun magic. Which isn't so much as controlled as only, like, the biggest figures have it. Anyways, let's roll twice on the other table. Let's think some more. Like, only the nobility having it makes sense. It also, like, all the fairy tale stuff where, like, for some reason the nobility can really get away with some magic. 13. Busy. 97. Very busy. Very busy magic. That's powerful and controlled. Now we're in a fairy tale like... Oh, this is silly and dumb. This is silly and dumb. Magic is very draconian and bureaucratical. I guess you could say the word. You have to ask the representatives of the dwarf fairies / elves to do the magic and go through the proceedings they set. I mean, it's going to be very powerful if you want to ask the representative of fire, hey, I want to throw fireballs. He's like, okay, here's the thing. Here's effectively the fey, or here's the things you have to do in order to throw fireballs. Okay, first you have to give me a gold tooth from a goblin that sat on the king's throne, and then you have to do all this busy work, and then like, yeah, okay, you can throw fireballs all day now. Or, you know, the more like, okay, but if you ever do something wrong once, the fireball's going to explode on you. Anyways. Monsters. Well, we kind of have monsters inbuilt. But let's see about other monsters. Maybe it'll have us rethink the other thing. Monsters as animals. Monsters are common, but they fill the role in an ecosystem like any other natural animal. Well, many could be for... Okay. Let me roll. More. That's 90. And that is 5. There we go. Back up to the adventure tone. 90. Strange. And 5. Aggressive. Okay. Aside from the fairy folk, the monsters of the woods are all unique and feral. Think Jabberwocky. What else would there be? Like, things you could say, like, oh, they're part of this species, but they're really kind of odd. Loop-garou? What was that, the werewolf? Loop-garou. French werewolf. Okay, Beast of Gevendon. Yeah, sure. Like, basically, they're one-off. Like, you could say that they came from another normal animal. Like, dragons being a normal animal kind of works, but they're, like, really... They're different. Like, maybe they have some other weirdness about them that does not fit on standard stack. And the woods is just filled with these one-off monsters. Okay, threat and tension. So, we kind of established that, but let's see what's really going on. Okay, 4. 4, 4. War. We kind of said this. I'm glad it actually rolled it. Okay, and we roll on the plot table twice. 58. 81. Or no, plot twist, sorry. 58. News. So this one runs back into, you know, the Herald coming up. News, 81. Rescue. Oh, that's a... Does I want to? Get a little red cap on there. So news of rescue. We kind of have the news from the Herald. Rescue. The hidden fair folk communities are becoming under siege. Are coming under siege. And unlike the humans, they won't come together. This is a warning. This is a warning and a plea for help. Okay. So we have this world. Lots of forests. Lots of little villages that basically survive, and that's all they do. In the past, a giant goblin army came up and just started kicking their teeth in. And then maybe some elves in the past had come up and said, we can't have this happen. We have some dealings with you. We'd like you to actually live through this. So they helped everybody gather together and go and stop the goblins. They said, okay, if this ever happens in the past, or we helped you, you owe us a solid. And maybe. The elves helped the humans, so humans owe the elves. And it's seen as a return to greatness because, literally all their history is yeah, everybody came together and we kicked the elves' teeth in. I mean, not the elves, the goblins' teeth in. Okay, I think this is all working out. So on to the next step is to fill out the... Very efficient. Oh no, I have more room than last time. World meaning table. So let's compile this. We have activity. We have frantic. We have guide. We have inform. And I'm going to need to roll a lot for this. And we have failed. Actually, angry. This makes sense of like why the fair folk are getting attacked first, because the goblins remember. The goblins remember that the elves and the fair folk actually helped the humans out. And while the goblins are goblins, the Goblin King is smart and goes, yeah, let's take care of them first because they're less likely to help each other because, you know, the fairies of autumn don't like the fairies of spring, and neither of those two really like the fairies of winter and would kind of look the other way if somebody were to come over and step on them. So, angry, busy, very. It's kind of funny I rolled busy and very for how magic works, and then have it relate to Fae. Though we kind of went like, yeah, fairy magic, Fae magic before, but more in like, less fairies involved and more like, I have this magic spell, if I cast it, something bad's going to happen to me, but they're going to blow up. Fairies and actual phases, they do it because it's funny. Okay, strange and aggressive, and then we have news and rescue. Because the fair folk don't want to help each other. Roll a bunch of dice. 68. 10. 30. Okay, back to the thing. I really need another monitor. Oppose. Oppose and 15 for danger and 30 for free. Okay, 49 is lie. As all good fairies do. $29 is family. $99 is urgent. And I need to roll 2 more. 4. Barrier. That might be useful for things. And 42 for important. Okay, now for the adventure seeds, and then roll in the rest of this. So let's get these down. 1, 4, 4, 3. Subgenre. And then we have 2 for magic, which, I mean, I guess is kind of fitting. And then 3 is Central Society. So the goblins. Okay, now that we have that, 8 on the table is very. And then for the plot, we have 35, which is headquarters. Very headquarters. I mean, I could just go on this right away. The fair folk wish to invite human representatives to the fair folk court to talk about the war that is starting. Very simple. Okay, next one on magic. 17, that's a high roll. 15, family. And then for plot twists, 5. Family betrayal. Oh. One of the royal dwarves has betrayed dwarven kind and took aspects of magic with him. Nine. Oh wait, no. That's the wrong table. Strange. $98. Strange, unusual. Well, the strange is kind of coming from the monsters. Unusual. And this has to deal with the magic. Okay. A beast, a monster of the wood. Is giving out magic for seemingly intelligent and giving out magic. Like the fair folk do. This is causing trouble as it is not more what's the word for it? More random and easy than the fair folk process. So something weird's going out there. Either the fair folk is making themselves monstrous, or one of the monsters has leveled up. Okay, Central Society. Let's roll on the Painter's Brown. 19. $19 is Barrier. I said this would be interesting. Barrier, oh, because this is Central Society and this is goblins, because they're the main plot movers. 14. Control. The goblins have summoned an impenetrable briar patch in front of all goblin caves, and only goblins may pass through unharmed. So effectively, the goblins make a hole. They come out of the hole, and it's filled back up with thorns all the way through. So you're always fighting a defensive war against them, and you can't march in like the old glory days and beat the crap out of the Goblin King. Personally, I think this overall works. It's kind of a strange little thing. But I mean, like, it's you're rolling random tables. It's always going to be strange. Oh. Oh. So what do I think after doing this a few times? Because this is like 3 times now. The original time I actually screwed up, and I thought that you had to roll the second one as one of the other 6 pillars, but which had really interesting results, but I was wrong. So, good for one-shots? Maybe actually good for starting up a sandbox campaign. Actually, it might be really good for that, because you establish nothing. You don't have names. You can make names, but, like, it doesn't make, like, an entire house of people that you're supposed to throw in there. Like, no real NPCs come about unless you think about them too hard. Like, I say there's a herald. I haven't made a single, like, judgment about what the herald is, except maybe it's elvish and that they kind of showed up because, like, hey, we helped you before, please help. And, like, there are more pressing things, like, might actually lead into this, because the monster of the woods, is that something to deal with that? Is that going to be, a warg? Is it a warg? I think it's warg. You know, the giant wolves that the goblins rode. That is just like, you know, hey, it's a big wolf, and it's helping the goblins by, like, yeah, I'm going to hand out magic like candy that might come from the whole betrayal that the dwarf left with. It took all the magic with him. Maybe the dwarf made a deal with the warg. It's like, okay, I'll let you cause chaos on my behalf. Just screw all this. And it's a very fairy tale start of, like, the elves have wished for somebody to come, and we must pick from our people to go in there and deal with them, because they're elves. If we say no, bad things happen. Overall, yeah. Very interesting. I mean, it works. And I said that the barrier is going to come up interesting. And I do like the idea that the goblins are trying to pick up for last time, because they want to... They find nothing better than slaughtering all the humans. And the elves ruined their fun last time by telling them, like, hey, guys, you can actually get together and do this. Your king's not doing anything about it. He's not standing a standing army to stop this. Okay. I said this was going to be short. Let me see what my plans are. Okay, it's 3 weeks till Christmas. I kind of think I might have a plan for the 26th, 27th, 28th because I hate myself. But for next week, might be programming. I'm almost thinking I want to take what I've made before for the programming engine and just how slapdash can I make Dragon Quest? Like, I mean, like, combat system and basic move around. Maybe I might make a map making engine. I don't know, something like that. But either way, this is going to be quick. There isn't much to draw on this. This is really rolling a billion tables, and I put a little bit of scribbles in there. But yeah, I think the system works. I think I might actually use this in the future. Though on other things inside this document, the zine. Because the zine usually drops with like two things. Like 60 was Fantasy World Crafter, randomly generate fantasy settings. It does what it says on the tin. We have a fantasy setting. Like, I mean, like it's pretty much pretty much a bunch of random villages. Maybe even just like a dozen. Not a lot. And the cleared out areas of the forest, which there are not few, are a few. Dangerous to go between them. Actually, I think I have a setting book that's kind of like this. You know, we have our houses here. Ooh. I think it might be more of a campaign than a book, but it's pretty much, yeah, it takes place in this woods that is like all this weird stuff's going on, and it's a hex crawl in the woods. Never get used because I never use anything I buy, but yeah. Then, you know, you have the underworld. And then here be goblins. Here be fair folk. Yeah. Anyways, so back onto like magazine, because I kind of mentioned it, but it's been going for 60 issues now. It's been running for 5 years. They do sell print on demand. So I'm not sponsored, but might as well talk about it. The other thing they have in this issue is High Point Adventures, which is an attempt to, if you're playing a solo game, not do a lot of the downtime stuff between there, just jump from action point to action point, which is an interesting thing. I'm not sure how well it works. 1 second. What was this called? Because I want to look at the list. Mythic Magazine. Do you have what you call yourself? Word Mill Games. That's what it was. Oh, maybe I should actually check. Because I know they have, like, effectively what is a giant list of all the things that they have. Let me see if I can get to it, just so I can name a few. Okay. Not seeing it on the front page. Is it under posts or something? Or they possibly took it down, because it's been there for a while. Mythic Magazine list. So as I said, it's been for 60 issues, and I've been following this for a long time because I'm very silly. Here it is. Okay, I think I found... Nope, I found the compilations, which I might want to think about buying myself a few. I'll see which ones I have. I think I have 1 through 3 right now. Because I used to have an index which could, you know, like show every single one. Oh, wait. Maybe over here. Magazine. Oh, here it is. Okay. Individual issues. Here we go. Like, going all the way back to issue 1, which was behavior checks and changing some ideas of how to run some things. Then later, let's just randomly pick here. Dealing with solo adventure pacing. Yeah, they also started introducing actual solo adventures that are like pre-built. I mean, it uses most of the systems in here, but it's like if you bought a adventure book, you would be able to play through it. Like, you'd have to mark a few things. I think one of the first ones they did was like, if you had like certain events happen too many times, it like changed like, like it was a mystery, and the mystery became more supernatural the more supernatural events you had on there. I mean, like, you make a final roll and either like it's somebody, it wasn't supernatural, they were just, you know, setting things up to look that way, or no, yeah, they were like some sort of supernatural being, and that's what the mystery was. I might at a later date attempt to do one of those because it sounds like an interesting thing. I've tried at one point, I just didn't have the time. Well, like a lot of this is, they have the villain crafter in here. What was that? Because they, like, this is the adventure crafter. They have the villain crafter. They have a space system crafter. Every month he just comes out with a new thing like, okay, here's a procedure to do this. Which I find very interesting. They have one I was never able to quite do, which is how to run a mystery, which I think would be really interesting. It's just I can't think of the setup. I mean, I could roll stuff for the setup, but yeah. Yeah. Actually, it was last issue that they had how to make a cyber dystopia, but it wasn't as in-depth as this one. Either way. So this was a little look at what I spend too much money on every month. I mean, it isn't too much. It's like $5 maybe. But on the Mythic Magazine, actually, excuse me for 1 second. Okay, that talking too long, not enough liquid. On the Mythic Magazine, and I have to say that the adventure craft, the fantasy world crafter works very well. There could be more in-depth stuff, but you can always just roll into Oblivion or roll up the other things. I think they have a lot of other stuff, but yeah, if you like solo stuff and you want something dropped off, check out their Patreon. It's not hard to find. It's just Mythic Magazine. You get a you get a PDF every month, and I think if you do the higher tiers, you can hear him ramble about what they're doing for their role-playing system, which Mythic is their role-playing system. Mythic Emulator is kind of built on some of the ideas of their game system. Like, it's D100, it's you have an expected value, you roll above or below that based on looking at tables, yada yada. Though it's more simplified, and then it has a bunch of tables. But anyways, without further ado, I'm going to release you to the rest of your day, whatever time it may be. And I'm going to try actually working on some stream stuff and some other things, because besides the 3 days of pain I possibly have myself planned, I want something done before the end of the year. It'll be exciting to drop that if I can actually do that, but I need time for that. So without further ado, have a good day. I might as well shield myself a little bit. While this was not a VTuber stream, if you're interested in me doing some scuffed artwork or an entire pixel model, which I will say will not be as scuffed as my artwork, check me out at Scribble in the Dark. Or no, Scribble in the Moonlight. which is my Twitter, which I will check religiously for any sort of commissions coming in. But beyond that, have a good day, time of day, everyone, and I will see you next time.